Hello, I'm Greg Holloway, and welcome to the Common Sense Texans video debate among the Republican gubernatorial candidates, Rick Perry, Kay Bailey Hutchison, and Deborah Medina. Each of the candidates will be presented with 10 questions that have been prepared by grassroots conservatives around the state. Now let's go to one of these questions right now.
There's no question that we must address the illegal immigration issue in our state. Unfortunately, Washington, D.C. has done little to protect the border of Texas and Mexico. It's important also, though, that we recognize that the wealth of a nation, and indeed the wealth of this state, is in her people, not just her natural resources. If we look over all of history again, we would see continents like Africa, wealthy in resources but struggling. Countries like Japan, not so wealthy in resources. The wealth of a nation is her people. That's true of Texas. This is a constitutional republic. It is one that survives on its adherence to the rule of law. And when we invite people to come here, we need that healthy trade, and we invite them and allow and encourage them to break the law with the first step they take into our state. We have set a very bad precedent. It is incumbent upon the state of Texas to secure our border and to reduce the incentives that we provide to individuals to break the law. We must recognize fundamentally that illegal immigration is a violation of that essential element of freedom, private property ownership. The land along our southern border is private property, and yet we have invited criminal trespass across that property. It has destroyed homes, families, and ranches. We must deploy the Texas military force to the border to offer assistance to local landowners and local law enforcement in making sure that all traffic through the southern border comes through the legal ports of entry. We must eliminate property tax in Texas and use a sales tax, a consumption tax, to fund schools so that everyone that's participating and enjoying the benefits of our public education system are sharing in a portion of that cost. We must challenge federal legislation like EMTALA that forces our hospital and emergency health care providers to provide free and unlimited health care to anyone who asks in an emergency room. When we begin to address those fundamental issues, we will see a real reduction in the flow of illegal immigration into our state. But ultimately, we don't want Austin doing anything that we don't want Washington, D.C. doing. We believe in local government. I absolutely think sanctuary city policies are bad policies, but they are city policies. And city council members and members of those cities really need to address that issue.
Washington, D.C. has been abject failures at securing our border. I've always thought the military was one of the great things that our federal government was supposed to do, and they do. Three things I've always thought that the federal government is supposed to be really good at: standing a military, delivering our mail on time, and securing our border. Well, we do one of those. And securing our border has been the most frustrating thing that I've dealt with in Washington, D.C. And this isn't just with this current administration. This goes back for some years, almost my entire time as governor. A great frustration that Washington does not either respect or care about what goes on that Texas-Mexico border. For that matter, the border with Mexico from California to Texas. We have focused on it from the standpoint of putting additional resources. Sadly, we're doing the federal government's job from the standpoint of keeping that border secure. So whether it's Ranger recon teams, we've surged into areas and we've seen good results, but the fact is it's a federal responsibility. So the federal government must send us more boots on the ground. I've got 1,000 National Guard troops that we've asked for. Use Predator drones to practice and fly up and down the border to use that information to help us continue. Technology is so important to being able to have a virtual wall, if you will, a virtual fence to help keep out those illegal activities, the drug cartels, the transnational gangs that are using that border as an operating position. The concept of sanctuary cities is I think, a very heinous concept from the standpoint of basically saying we're going to allow this city to not respect the laws of this country. So people who have not been supportive of sanctuary cities, I think they've got a lot of explaining to do to the people of the state of Texas from that perspective. So continuing to put the pressure on Washington to secure our border, because if you've got to have border security before you can have national security, and you can't have immigration policy debate until you put that secure border in place.
Yes, I think that there are many things that the state can do that they are not doing to help in securing our borders. Let me say, first of all, that I have always voted to stop sanctuary cities from being funded. We should not have sanctuary cities in our country. Number two, I led the effort to quadruple the number of Border Patrol agents, because I think that is the front line in stopping the illegal immigration and traffic into our country. There are some things that the state could be doing that they aren't, like training under the 287G program our Department of Public Safety officials so that they could help apprehend criminal illegal aliens and work with the Border Patrol and the other federal agents. We need cooperation. Unfortunately, Governor Perry has not trained the DPS agents, so they are not qualified or do not have the training to apprehend these illegal alien criminals, which I think is something that the state should clearly do. The other thing is on E-Verify. I think E-Verify is a very easy, inexpensive way for any employer to check to see if someone is legally in our country. It's the best resource that we have, and it's free to employers. Interestingly, in my Senate office, I use E-Verify to assure that all of my employees are legally in our country. Governor Perry will not commit that the state of Texas will do the same, and I think the state of Texas should lead the effort to assure that we know that the people working for the state of Texas, using taxpayer dollars, are people qualified to work in our country.